I've used ChatGPT. It can write good content, but it's not like something that, oh wow, this is crazy. No, you still need a good copywriter to be able to convert the average content that ChatGPT has created to be able to create good content. So, in those kind of scenarios where people are getting uncomfortable to do that, what do you think that they should actually get afraid, be fearful out of it, or just go dive in and take massive action? How can coaches, entrepreneurs, freelancers incorporate AI into their business to stay competitive and to be able to keep up with the trends? I would say technology making businesses efficient. Technology is a little bit scary as well. AI can pretend to be your voice and it can talk to me on a call, and I would be like, I'm talking to Manuj. It can pretend to be someone else, it can talk like someone else, it can copy you as a human. So what's your take on that, and how can people actually not fall into these traps? I would say, because I've been there. I've spoken to someone on the phone and that person was not who I thought it would be. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Breaking Boundaries with Aditi. Yet another awesome episode with an amazing entrepreneur. And this is the place where we dive deep into the minds of extraordinary individuals who are doing really awesome in their respective fields. And I'm your host, Aditi Jain. And today we have the privilege of having Manuj on this podcast show. Manuj is the founder and chief innovation officer of Tetranoodle Technologies, an elite AI consulting company. So, guys, today it's going to be all about AI. We have an AI expert. His company has impacted 10 million lives and generated over $500 million in revenue through his expertise in technology and AI. He has an impressive career starting off with working at a factory for like $2 a day to rising to the boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies, which is so crazy. When I was a young kid, I always wanted to be, in a room where people are all sitting together and they're always talking about business stuff. Like that was my kind of dreams that I had. And I'm so lucky today that I am actually talking to someone who can help us out today and who will be helping you all today to be able to understand how did he did that. So Manuj is someone who's looking forward to really show the world on how AI actually works. Hey Manuj, so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for that intro. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So can you tell a little bit about yourself to the audience who's watching you live right now?
What will you like to know?
So a lot of people, they're all beginning their entrepreneurial journey. So they would like for you to introduce yourself and who you are and like where you from and everything.
Sure. So I was born in India, obviously, and as I was telling you before the interview, I grew up in Punjab, in a small town called Jalandhar, and I in Jalandhar, like that's a small city, and you don't get a lot of opportunities. And we are talking about 30 years ago, when India was still the economy was still developing, and in that environment, I had to start my career at 15, and
Oh,
I yeah, so I started working in this factory and wanted to change my life. I wanted to do something bigger and better. And I got some inspiration from learning about some other people's success stories in business magazines. So that's when I realized at around 15 that, in order to make it big, or in order to change your life, you need to provide massive value to the world. Like, you need to have some skill, something that you can bring to the table that the world will pay for it. And at that point, computers and internet were pretty new, but luckily I got into it and I found I was really good at it. I was enjoying my time working with computers. And I knew that is my path to changing my life, and I dove deeper into it. And then I came over to North America, and the story continues. But that is where sort of the beginning chapter was, just through uh, the difficulties of life, ups and downs. You tend to learn a lot of lessons, and when
yeah.
you implement those lessons in your life, then things change. So if you're starting off with your journey, I always recommend people to look at what makes you happy, what is your passion. And this may sound like a cliche, but people generally focus on, okay, where can I make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? And generally, that doesn't really work if they focus on the money part alone. But if they focus on what makes them truly happy, what fulfills them, and then they sort of intersect that with what does the world need. In fact, for people who are starting on their journey, I will recommend them to have a look at uh, a Japanese concept called ikigai. So
Yeah.
ikigai really helps you to figure out what will give you the most fulfillment, what will give you the most success. So if you start to apply that, that will really help people who are starting off right now.
Amazing. Ikigai is really interesting, and we'll talk more about that. But I want to understand that you were working for $2 a day in a factory, and now you've like one of the most amazing entrepreneurs out there, especially when it comes to AI and AI and startups. So it's very interesting to know that coming from that kind of background, because people don't think like that. They think like, if I am born in a certain way, I'm born in a certain background, I should be doing that particular thing for my entire life. So they don't think that they can really change their lives. It is said
Mm.
that if you are born poor, that's not your fault, but if you die poor, that's your fault. So, can you
Mhm.
share, and especially for those people, like, can you share that how did you change your reality? Because honestly, when you were working in a factory, like, how did you think about life? What were your perspectives? And from there, you became this person.
Well, first of all, this is not new. Like if you read anybody's success story, most people are self-made. Even if you look at world leaders, read the stories of Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, all of these people. Not that I'm comparing myself to them, but just to tell others, re-emphasize your point that it doesn't matter where you start. It's something that some trigger happens in your life, which pushes you towards your destiny. Okay,
Hmm.
and generally that trigger is a painful trigger. Okay, so that pain, most people are not able to tolerate that pain, but the difference is who takes that pain and converts that into something positive, and who takes that pain and submits to that pain and says, okay, my life is done. I'm not going to be able to rise above that. So I always encourage people to embrace that pain, because that is a fuel that will push you forward. So when somebody experiences that pain, the next thing is, what action are you going to take to relieve that pain? A lot of people, unfortunately, they complain and they, expect the pain to go away without taking any action.
Yeah.
And that's just not simply true. So what you really need to do is figure out, okay, I have this problem. What do I do? How do I fix it? Who do I talk to? Because the other aspect that I'm still trying to learn, I'm still not good at it, is to ask for help. Because in most of the time we only know what we know. So if we have a pain and we don't have a cure for it, obviously we have to acquire some new knowledge, some new skill, some new idea that can help us fix that problem. And generally that idea will come from somebody else, and it could be a person, it could be a mentor, it could be your parents, your friends, it could be a book, it could be somebody's biography you read and you get some insight. But focus on taking those type of action, acquiring new knowledge, and not just acquiring knowledge, but implementing is the most
Yeah.
important thing. Because once again, all of these things are not easy. But when you put your mind towards, okay, the most painful part of my life was this, and I never want to experience that, then everything else, taking action, learning new things, that may be painful, but it will not be comparable to the extreme pain that you experienced sort of earlier on, which is the reason why you are on this journey anyways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why everyone, like you mentioned this one really good thing, like there's a trigger that right now I have to do something about it. That
Mm-hmm.
trigger
Mm-hmm.
actually makes a huge difference. Now, some people just sulk in and keep complaining about it, and some people do something about it and take that
Mm-hmm.
trigger seriously and take action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I really want to understand more about AI and, how is AI changing lives on a daily basis? And actually, I want to go deep, deep down into we saw McDonald's literally automating a lot of things, with the waiter and the cooks and so many things, and that really went viral. So I want to talk about that particular aspect that people are really scared now, and I personally believe that AI has actually forced human beings to improve their skills more so that they can perform at a higher level. And now just normal skills won't do in the market, but you need good high level skills. For example, if you're a good marketer, then you need to become a better marketer. That's it. That's what AI is forcing us to do. But in the market, people think that AI will replace them, AI will take up their jobs, AI will do this, AI will do that. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so once again, I believe as humans, we tend not to learn a lot from history. But if we look at history, all these things have been repeated multiple times. Um, Starting from the invention of the wheel or discovery of how to make fire, people have always react negatively, or they are scared of
Yeah.
new inventions or new changes. When the printing press was invented, people were scared. Oh, what is going to happen when all the masses started reading books and they get all the
Yeah.
information? When the vehicle, automobile was invented, people said, oh, this is the vehicle of the devil because it used to spew out all this smoke. You probably are not young enough, but somebody in your audience may relate to it. When the internet came about, there was a big scare around the globe in the year 2000, which was called the Y2K problem. And people were scared because the computers were not able to handle the date, the two-digit date. The year 2000 had the date 00, and that crashed a lot of computer programs, and it caused a worldwide scare that, oh, now the internet is going to crash and the whole economies are going to crash. So this is not new that humans react in this way to change. But the thing is, this is related to what we were talking about earlier. This is the trigger point which is going to make some people uncomfortable. So when the discomfort comes in, to your point, you can either embrace the change and you can say, okay, AI is here to stay. And by the way, AI is not just new now.
Yeah.
It's not a new phenomena. AI has been around since the 60s. Okay. And people who understand technology, they have been using AI in a very, very productive way since like 1995. If you order something from Amazon today, you get the package the same day or the next day. Why is that? It's not because Amazon is such a great company, and it's because they use AI heavily in every aspect of your shopping experience. If you take out your mobile phone, every little aspect on that phone is controlled by AI. So
Yeah.
um, the only difference is now with ChatGPT and other platforms, most people have now experienced what AI can do. And so the idea is that this is the trigger point for the entire human race to say, okay, this technology is here and it is going to change a lot of things. And it is our choice whether we embrace it or not. Now, regarding the jobs, there every time a new technology is introduced, yes, it affects some jobs, but it is up to us to let it affect the job. Because if so let's say, my job is affected by AI. And now I can sulk about it and say, okay, AI took away my job, or I can lean in and I can say, okay, let me learn this skill and apply it to get a better job, or to start my business, or elevate myself, because
Exactly.
I have access to this technology. So to explain it in simple terms so that people can get some context, in 1995 I logged on to the internet for the first time. Okay. And in 1998, I applied for my first entry level position, and I could not apply for that role unless I had an email address. Okay. So in 3 years, the world had changed. And if I didn't know, if I didn't have access to the internet, I was practically out of the economy. So things change that fast. So if you don't embrace AI today, you are responsible for sort of taking you out of that job, because somebody else who's using AI will replace you. Not AI, but another human who understands and uses AI will replace you. So this fear and misinformation is understandable. That's how humans behave. But you really need to overcome that fear and really embrace it. I mean, I'll give you another example. So let's say if before the invention of automobile, let's say your business is delivering food across the city, and you are using either a bicycle or on foot. You're delivering, one or two deliveries in a day, and now uh, there's this automobile that is available to you, which can help you travel at like at least 40 kilometers an hour. Will you choose that vehicle, or will you continue to deliver food on foot? The choice is yours.
Definitely. That was super powerful. Because a lot of people, like, I really want to, point towards the point that people are afraid to get uncomfortable upgrading their skills. That's why they are just afraid. Like, honestly, I've used ChatGPT. I've been writing content from the last 3.5 years. I've used ChatGPT. It can write good content, but it's not like something that, oh, wow, this is crazy. No, you still need a good copywriter to be able to convert the average content that ChatGPT has created to be able to create good content, right? So, in those kind of scenarios where people are getting uncomfortable to do that, what do you think that do you think that they should actually, get afraid, be fearful out of it, or just, like go dive in and take massive action?
See, fear is never the answer. If people give in to fear, not just AI, anything else, like I can be afraid of traveling. I can be afraid of certain foods. I can be afraid of n number of things in my life. But if I don't take action to overcome that fear, I'm just like I'm deriving myself from a possibly excellent experience. So if I like, for example, I'm afraid of heights, but I push myself to go on top of the mountains, go bungee jumping or something along those lines, where I can try and overcome that fear and see, okay, what are my boundaries? How can I cross them? Because unless you push yourself to cross those boundaries, the world is going to actually try and enclose you in tighter and tighter boundaries. That's how life works. So if you
Yeah.
don't push your boundaries, you are going to be surrounded in a very tiny bubble. And whatever your dreams are, whatever your aspirations are, they will be limited within that bubble. So if you want to live an awesome life, if you want to experience what the world has to offer, you really have to be comfortable with discomfort.
Yeah. And that's why we call it Breaking Boundaries podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah. And a couple of days ago, or somewhere on your social media, I saw you sharing something that there will be two kinds of businesses by 2020. one who's fully utilizing AI and those out of business, like other people will just be out of business. So, respective of the statement, how can coaches, entrepreneurs, freelancers incorporate AI into their business, to stay competitive and to be able to keep up with the trends, I would say.
Hmm. Well, the statement was about 2030, not 2020, but I mean it is certainly true even for 2020 to a certain extent. But the thing is, every business is going to need to use AI to be competitive and to stay in the marketplace. Because if you don't use it, somebody else is going to use it. They are going to become more productive, more efficient, more customer focused. So how can
Yeah.
people use it? I tell them, look at your schedule. So let's say if you are working 40, 50 hours a week, look at where you are spending most of your time. So is it writing emails, writing content, training clients, whatever your activity is. Let's say you're spending 30 hours talking on the phone, or whatever that main activity is. Try to then break it down into multiple steps and say, what are some of the steps that I can offload to AI? So,
Yeah.
we are, for example, we are working with some healthcare institutions. Obviously, the physicians have to meet the patients, but a majority of their time is actually spent in entering data and reporting on what the visit was about. So, if we offload that to AI, the physicians can free up a lot of their time visiting more patients. We are working with the music school no, and teaching music using AI. So now that activity can scale quite well. So we are working with some real estate agents, and interestingly enough, real estate is all about um, human interaction, communication, and 80% of their time is spent on communication through various
Mm.
channels, email, phone, text, social media, all of that. So the more we can remove off their plate, the more they can utilize that time to go out there and look for more deals and look for more clients and whatnot. So this is universal. These basic principles can be applied in any business, no matter what.
That's amazing. And when you said that, you can offload some of the tasks to AI, like what kind of things can people offload in a general business?
Um, so the thing is that most people understand AI to be Chat GPT, which is like sort of text based, but AI is much more powerful. So it depends upon your use case, your business, but basically AI can do pretty much everything that a human can do, but with the caveat that one particular AI is only good at one task. So I gave you a few examples in how we are using AI, and we have implemented AI in so many different industries. Let's take another example, a manufacturing industry. So in manufacturing industries, there is a lot of manual labor required to manufacture whatever goods they are manufacturing. And one of the key areas is quality assurance. So let's say the
Okay.
factory is producing 10,000 items per day. In order to make sure that the quality is good, like somebody has to manually check, okay, is this piece okay or not? And that's a very labor intensive job. But there is a specific field of AI called computer vision, which allows the computer to see just like humans can see. So it can detect, like it can look at real time video, and then it can detect, any anomalies down to micrometers, like very accurately in a very, very fast pace. So that's another area of computer vision that can be applied. Computer vision, oh, sorry, AI has another area where it can synthesize and analyze sounds. So let's
Oh.
say, so we are working on with a company. Their product is they can listen to your cough, and then they can tell you if you have COVID or not. Um,
Oh.
so uh, so you need to think about AI not just in terms of, oh, this is Chat GPT. AI is capable of every sort of interaction that a human can do. So it really depends upon your use case, your industry, your business, what exactly you want to do. And you can really start to leverage all these technologies to make your business more efficient.
Yeah, that's true. And in general, like talking about technology making businesses efficient, technology is a little bit scary as well. You're seeing there are so many deep fakes of people that are being made out there. You can literally call someone, and I mean, AI can pretend to be your voice and it can talk to me on a call, and I would be like, I'm talking to Manuj, right? It can do
Mm-hmm.
that. It can do so many different things that are scary enough in this world to be able to, I mean, it is like, it can pretend to be someone else, it can talk like someone else, it can copy you as a human and talk like you with human anyone, right? So what's your take on that, and how can uh people, they can actually not fall into these traps, I would say, because I've been there. I've spoken to someone on the phone and that person was not who I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me ask a question. Is that something new?
Not really, but it
Mm-hmm.
is something that's getting easier scamming, I would
Okay.
say.
Okay, so the idea here is that this has not this is not something new, like propaganda and impersonation and all of that. That has been around since the since we were cavemen. I mean, ever since the very first play was hosted by the Greeks. I mean, it was the same sentiment. Like, how can somebody
Yeah,
pretend to be somebody else? But then now movies and plays and all of this is part of our culture, right? One actor can be a villain in one movie, and it can be he or she can be like a positive character in another movie, and we are perfectly okay with that because we know that they are playing a character. It's just that we live in a society where that has been normalized now. If you just go back 50 or 60 years, you will still have the same apprehensions about what the hell. Y- when movies started, they actually didn't allow females to participate, like to play roles.
oh,
So males used to play female roles. So all of these sort of, you know uh, like a kind of unsaid rules, they exist in society until one day somebody comes and says, okay, you know this is just normal, let's just deal with it. So yes, impersonation is becoming easier, but also it is also becoming easier to detect these things. Also, we need to elevate our sort of how can I say it, like awareness of what are
yeah,
we looking at, who are we talking about, is this something true given the character of the person that we know. So yes, the world is becoming more complex. um, that is just uh, human evolution. Like life used to, I mean, I'm sure when you talk to your parents, they must say, oh, life used to be very simple when we were growing
yeah,
up, because there were less distractions, there were less
yes,
all of it was like simpler. And if we talk to our grandparents, they will say life was simpler still, and so on and so forth.
yeah,
And when we talk about our next generation, their life is more complex. My point is, yes, all these problems exist, but as these problems exist, we need to find those solutions, and we need to have an open mind that, okay, this is a new problem that has been created. Now, how do I deal with it? And I need to raise my awareness about this and act accordingly. Um, I'll give you another simple example. When I was growing up, we used to get these, these letters from Nigeria promising $30 million if you, if you sent them like, $1,000 for processing fee and everything. And believe me, I know some people who actually fell for it and actually went to Nigeria and got in trouble, right?
yeah,
And now everybody knows, a Nigerian prince. I know what you're talking about. Now there are memes about it and jokes about it. But this was
yes,
serious business a few years ago. So so it's nothing new, but people just have to raise their awareness level.
that's very important. And thanks for sharing that, and hope that gave our audience a really different perspective on how AI is all about. How can they offload a lot of tasks to AI, and how they should not be fearful of AI.
Hmm. Hmm.
And before we hop off, is there any like three big things that you'd like to, give to people so that they can think about and take action on it? Like any three top tips about AI and anything that they should be doing in their business with respect to AI, maybe any tools, anything.
Well, first thing I tell people is, forget about AI, collect some data on yourself, because most people don't even understand themselves, like what they are good at, what their weakness is, what their strengths are. So rather than going and saying, okay, let's do AI, just collect some simple data about yourself, talk to people and
Yeah,
say, think about, because self-awareness is the most important thing, but self awareness is what we lack the most. So, start collecting data on yourself, try to understand what your strengths are, weaknesses are, and then try to intersect that with what the world needs. Focus on these areas, and everything else like AI and technologies and everything, try to have an open mind towards them. And as you go through each step, try to think, okay, what technology can I use, who can I ask for help, who can I approach to get some help to figure this out, and then take one step at a time.
amazing. That was super powerful. And thank you, Manuj, for having like coming on the podcast and sharing your 2 cents about AI and about like the last part that we talked about, how humans should have that self awareness and it's very important. That was really interesting to me and very knowledgeable as well. So thank you so much for joining us today.